There's something quite strange that many people over 60 quietly realize, but rarely put into words. It's this: being at home can feel even more exhausting than going to work ever did. Even when there's nowhere to rush to, even with a whole day free, just glancing around the house brings a weight, a heaviness, and a strange reluctance to begin. Have you ever felt like that? A closet full of clothes, yet nothing feels right to wear. A kitchen stocked with everything, but no desire to cook. A quiet living room, and yet it feels oddly empty. The heaviness doesn't come from dust or a lack of things, but from items without a proper place, and thoughts without a place to rest. And here's the beautiful truth: to keep a home organized and peaceful, you don't need extraordinary strength, and you certainly don't need to spend money on professional organizers. You just need a few simple psychological secrets, tiny, almost invisible things that make a powerful difference. Today on Senior Rise, we'll explore 10 gentle but transformative psychological secrets that make organized homes feel lighter, not with noise or pressure, but with quiet clarity that can ease an entire life. Be sure to stay until the end of the video, because secret number 9 may completely shift the way you see your home. And if any part of this feels familiar, leave us a comment so we know you're still here with us, walking this journey together. Secret 1. The 3-second rule. Act the moment you can. Mrs. Helen, 69 years old, lives alone in a small home in Wisconsin. She no longer has the strength to clean like she used to, and the motivation to keep everything perfectly in place has quietly faded over the years. And yet, there's something remarkable about her home. It always feels tidy, light and peaceful, as if someone much stronger is taking care of it. When someone once asked her what her secret was, she simply smiled and said, "As long as I still have enough strength to fold the towel in 3 seconds, I will fold it. As long as I have the breath to place the glass in the sink, I will do it. Not for the house, but for me." Many people think clutter is a result of laziness, but the truth is much more subtle than that. The human mind tires easily when it's surrounded by things left unfinished. Psychologist Dr. Roy Baumeister, Florida State University, described a phenomenon called open-loop fatigue, mental exhaustion caused by too many unclosed loops in our daily lives. A glass left unrinsed, a newspaper sitting out, a jacket draped over the wrong chair. They seem harmless, but each one whispers silently, "You're not done yet." And when your mind hears that whisper dozens of times a day, you don't just feel like your house is messy, you start to feel like you are messy. But when Mrs. Helen began practicing the 3-second rule, she wasn't doing it to clean her house. She was doing it to reconnect with herself, moment by moment. I see the glass. I put it away. I notice the slippers. I straighten them. I realize I'm still here, and I still care. A small act, but a powerful message to the mind. I haven't abandoned my life. You have the right to slow down. You also have the power to choose, even gently, how to respond. Take a look around you right now. Is there something you've seen, but left untouched because you thought, "I'll do it later"? And if it would take you only 3 seconds, would you do it as a quiet gift to yourself? Secret 2. The 15-minute promise. A little every day. There's a common mistake that many people over 60 quietly fall into. They believe that to have a tidy home, they need a full afternoon, a completely free day, good health, or at least a strong burst of motivation. But the truth is, your home didn't become cluttered overnight, and you don't need to clean the entire house in a single day to feel better. According to a 2022 study from UCLA's Center for Environmental Psychology, the stress, caused by clutter in one's living space is directly linked to higher cortisol levels, the body's stress hormone, in older adults. In particular, women after retirement reported feeling overwhelmed rather than motivated when faced with a messy home. That's why, instead of trying to do it all, it's far more powerful to believe that doing a little each day is already enough. Marlene, 72, from Arizona, used to be very organized when she was younger. But in retirement, cleaning started to feel like a battle. Aching knees, a sore back, and a spirit that tired easily. Then she tried something new. Every morning, before her first cup of coffee, she gave herself exactly 15 minutes to tidy one small area. Day 1, the drawer full of papers. Day 2, the kitchen shelf. Day 3, the bathroom corner. And so it went. Steady, intentional. No pushing herself to do more. No telling herself, I'll make up for it tomorrow. After 3 weeks, her home had changed. But the biggest shift wasn't the space. It was the quiet confidence she found in herself again. No more staring at piles with defeat. No more whispering, maybe I just can't do this anymore. Have you ever felt like Marlene? Ever postponed tidying because you believed you needed to do it perfectly? Or not at all? If so, try starting with just 15 minutes today. Just one small area. As a gift from you to yourself. Because sometimes, the most important thing isn't how much you clean, it's that you kept your promise to yourself. Secret 3. The first 5 rule. There's an interesting paradox. Many people spend hours cleaning, yet the room still looks messy in the end. Not because they didn't do enough, but because they forgot this. The brain doesn't see everything in a room. It only notices what stands out the most. When we walk into a room, our eyes quickly catch the first 4 to 5 items that are out of place. A shirt draped over a chair, an old newspaper on the table, a slipper missing its pair, a bag hanging on the wrong hook, an unwashed glass. Just 5 items, but the brain immediately concludes, this room is cluttered. That feeling doesn't come from the full picture, it comes from the first impression. Mrs. Judith, 70 years old, living in Maine, used to be an art teacher. She shared that for years. She felt betrayed by her own home because even after vacuuming, organizing, and putting things away, all it took was one look around and everything still felt chaotic. Until she tried one simple tip. Every time she walked into a room, she would only deal with the first 5 things she noticed. No more, no pressure to do it all. Just 5. The result was surprisingly powerful. Her living room suddenly felt like it could breathe again. No more tightness in the chest. No more vague frustration. Just a clear sense of, I did something, and I feel the difference. You don't need to fix the whole house to feel lighter. You just need to help your brain believe the room is okay the moment it sees it. That's how you focus on what truly matters. Instead of endlessly cleaning corners, the mind doesn't even register. And when you handle the first 5 items each day, you're creating a gentle, healing rhythm between you and your living space. Are there 5 things around you right now that catch your eye? Would you be willing to stand up, just for 3 minutes, to return them to their places? If you do that, you've already started a new journey. Not just tidying your house, but rearranging how you feel inside. Secret 4. The empty nest method. Begin again with space. There's something few people talk about when it comes to decluttering. We often rearrange things without ever asking, do I still need this? We wipe down and clean around items that have sat in place for decades, simply because they've always been there. But if you no longer truly use it, no longer truly need it, and can't even remember why you kept it, then what exactly is stopping you from letting it go? Just like a bird building a nest, it doesn't shove new twigs into an old pile. It clears everything out, then selects each branch, each straw, one by one. Because it doesn't just want a sturdy nest, it wants a nest that fits its new season of life. It's the same for us. You don't need to live surrounded by drawers full of old memories or items from 10 or 20 years ago that no longer belong in your current life. Mrs. Elise, 74, from Florida, had lived in the same house for over 40 years. One day, when she opened her closet, she no longer saw herself in it. Just dresses from her teaching days, shoes that no longer fit, scarves from long ago travels. And she made a decision that many people avoid. She took everything out, spread it all across the bed, and looked at each item, not with eyes of regret, but with the heart of the present moment. When she put things back, the closet wasn't crowded anymore. It had space to breathe. She kept the items she still used, still loved, and that still fit the woman she's becoming today. When you empty out a drawer, a closet, or a kitchen shelf, you're creating space to choose again, not just to store things. In psychology, empty space is deeply important. It doesn't represent lack. It represents freedom to be selective about what truly matters. And that space helps you breathe easier, both in your home and in your mind. Have you ever tried emptying out a space? Not to throw things away, but to choose again, more kindly, with the person you are today? If not, start with just one drawer and notice, do you find yourself breathing a little deeper afterward? Secret 5. One in, one out, balancing what you keep and what you let go. A home doesn't become overwhelming because of large items, but because of the small thing that quietly slip in week after week. A shirt someone gave you, a mug you bought because it looked cute, a new jar of spices you didn't check if you already had. Little by little, these things turn your home into a kind of museum of intentions. Imagine you're carrying a shoulder bag. Every time you add something, without removing anything, it slowly gets heavier. Not because you're lazy or greedy, but simply because you haven't had a chance to notice. And then one day, that same bag starts to hurt your shoulder, your back, and even your spirit. That's why this small psychological shift can be so powerful. Every time something new enters your home, let one old thing go. Mrs. Lorna, 75, from California, is a deeply sentimental person. Every object held a memory for her. A hand-knit sweater from her daughter gifted 10 years ago, the floral dress she wore on her 60th birthday, the old wool blanket her husband once used in the hospital, but one day she realized she no longer used these things. She was just keeping them out of guilt. So she began a new habit. Whenever something new came into her home, she found one existing item to place in a small cloth bag inside her closet. When the bag was full, she donated it. No ceremony, no regret, just a quiet action. And she said, "Each time I let go of an object, it feels like I'm releasing something heavy from inside my heart." This doesn't just make your home lighter, it gives you back control in a world that's always asking you to accumulate more. Keep what fits the person you are today, and gently allow what no longer serves you to move on to its next chapter. How many things are you still keeping just because they've been there for years? Would you be open to trying the one in, one out rule this week? Sometimes letting go of just one item at the right moment can make your living space and your spirit feel much lighter. You've now made it halfway through the journey. Out of the first 5 secrets, which one spoke to you the most? Let us know in the comments, so others watching can feel they're not walking this path alone. Secret 6. A home for every item. Peace through small order. One early autumn afternoon, Mrs. Dorothy, 68 years old, living in Minnesota, called her granddaughter and sighed, "I just spent the whole morning trying to find a single stamp." It wasn't because her house was terribly cluttered. It wasn't because she was disorganized. It was simply that everything she needed was somewhere. In 3 cabinets, 5 drawers, and an old box without a label. Time wasted, patience drained, and worst of all, she lost her desire to enjoy the day. When things don't have a home, your mind can't find one either. Psychologists call this decision fatigue, the exhaustion that comes from making countless small decisions, like where are the scissors, or which drawer has the glue stick. When your brain is forced to keep asking questions like these, each day turns into a string of small but exhausting tasks. After that phone call, Dorothy tried something surprisingly simple. She placed a small basket next to her landline phone. Inside, stamps, envelopes, pens, a notebook, her reading glasses, everything that usually belonged together. From that day on, she no longer searched. She just reached out her hand. And it was there. And it wasn't just about saving time, it was about reducing one sigh of frustration each day. She later said, "When everything had a place to return to, I felt like I was no longer lost in my own home." You don't need to buy extra cabinets. You don't need to label everything like a library. All you need is to choose a clear spot for each group of items and keep the habit of returning them there after use. You'll be amazed how much peace can come from a pair of scissors resting in its rightful place. Right now, is there something around you that you always end up searching for? Could you give it a home of its own in your house? This isn't about cleaning, it's about restoring clarity so that each day you're not weighed down by 1,000 tiny questions. Secret 7. Rotate what you own. Give old things a chance to live again. Many people think that keeping items for many years is a sign of frugality, but in reality, keeping without using makes the item feel as if it has been forgotten in silence. It's not broken, not ugly, not useless. It's just been lying for years in the back, at the bottom of the closet. And like people, when an object is no longer touched, it gradually loses its sense of life. Rotating what you own doesn't mean shuffling everything on your shelves. It means each time you put something away, place the new item underneath and bring the old one to the front. When folding towels, put the new ones underneath. When buying more spice jars, move the old ones forward. When folding clothes, try changing the order so you're not always wearing the same few familiar pieces. Mrs. Carmen, 73 years old, living in New Mexico, found a hand-embroidered tablecloth while cleaning her cabinet. It still smelled like new fabric. She couldn't remember when she had stored it away, perhaps from her husband's memorial 8 years ago. That week, she invited an old friend for dinner. She spread that tablecloth across the table and added a small vase of flowers. The meal wasn't anything special, but Mrs. Carmen said, "It felt like I was inviting back a piece of memory instead of letting it sleep forever in the drawer." After that, she picked out 3 old items, still beautiful, still usable, and gave them to her daughter. Not as a goodbye, but so that the item's life could continue in a new context. Maybe you have a set of dishes you treasure, but haven't used in 5 years. A shirt that still smells fresh, but has been lying in the 3rd drawer. A good book, but buried among 10 others. Sometimes releasing the stagnation in your home is simply about rotating the rhythm of small things. No need to buy anything new. Just a reminder to yourself, you already have them, and you can still enjoy them. Are you keeping something too carefully? Instead of storing it away, could you choose a nearby day to bring it back to the dining table, the bedroom, or into your daily life? When an item is brought back to life, a part of your emotions is awakened too. Secret 8. Ask why. To 5 times. Get to the root of the clutter. There are corners in the house that you clean again and again, but a few days later, they go back to the same mess. The dining table always has letters and bills. That kitchen cabinet corner always becomes a temporary drop zone. The familiar seat in the living room piles up with books, remotes, blankets, pillows. You clean it today, but tomorrow, it's messy again. Next week, you feel helpless. A space that never stays tidy doesn't mean you're lazy or lack discipline. It simply means you haven't found the real reason why that spot can't stay organized. So instead of just cleaning again, pause and ask why. And not just once. Ask up to the 5th time, and you may uncover something you never thought of. Mrs. Ellie, 66 years old, living in Colorado, often got angry at her husband Paul for leaving his tools scattered around the house. At first, she thought, he's careless. Then she asked why. Why doesn't he put the tools back? Because he doesn't know where they go. Why doesn't he know? Because there's no space in the house designated for tools. Why isn't there one? Because they had never thought of creating a repair corner. Why hadn't they thought of it? Because they had always used the living room as a temporary place for everything. So, she bought a big basket and placed it in the storage room corner. From then on, Paul knew what to grab, what to put back, and where everything belonged. And Ellie no longer had to nag, get upset, or lose her temper. When you pause and dig deeper, you're no longer cleaning as if putting out fires. You're changing things at the root. You're setting a new rhythm for the home. One where every small habit has a reason to exist. Do you have an area that always gets messy, no matter how hard you try? If yes, sit down and ask yourself, why? At least 5 times. You'll be surprised by what you discover. Clutter is not your fault. It's simply a reminder that your current system no longer matches the life you're living today. You've now walked with us through all 8 secrets, and if you're still here, listening, reflecting, it means something very important. You truly want to live lighter, not to make your home perfect, not to prove that you're still capable, but so that each morning you wake up, you no longer feel tired in your very own sanctuary. You may not apply all of these, and you don't need to do everything right away. Just choose one. Hold on to it, and let it gently change you, little by little, because a home doesn't have to be new. It only needs to be tidy enough for you to breathe, clean enough to bring you joy, and orderly enough so you're not held back by the past or drained by the present. Above all, after all these years of living, the most precious thing isn't how many belongings you own, but the peace you've spent a lifetime searching for. If you feel today's words were meant for you, share in the comments the one insight that touched you most. It might be the very thing someone, somewhere, who is struggling just like you needs to know they're not alone. And if you feel that Senior Rise can continue walking alongside you, hit subscribe so that each week we can return to this little corner together, a place without lectures, only warm sharing from one heart to another. Until we meet again in the next video, I wish you a home that feels light and a soul even lighter than that.